Hello YouTube, this is William. As everybody knows, has been following me for any time, knows that I love the Fieldlore, the design of it. When I did the release on the Signature Series Fieldlore, somebody made the comment that I needed to do a video of why I love the Fieldlore so much. And I thought that was a very good request, or a reasonable request. I think that if you followed for the past few months of me talking about the Fieldlore here and there and little bits and pieces of it, you probably get the gist. But anyway, I thought maybe I would do a video and explain why the Fieldlore design is my favorite design of all the knives that I've designed to date. This is my favorite design. And the reason I do that, reason I say that is because, and I've said this before, it ticks all the boxes for me, which is basically an EDC cutting leather, and you know, this is the edge leather, so it's very thick, and it just slices through it, just like nothing. And let me move the camera down so you can see the table here, so I can do some demonstrations. And just show you, got an apple here. And this is the production Fieldlore, okay? And this is the Signature, which I've got on my cart a handle on a Signature blade, and they're pretty much the same. The Signature, this one here, the reason I didn't let this go with someone else is because it's a little bit narrower than the typical Fieldlore. It's more width like this one. But anyway, at least you can get kind of the gist of it. And that's the blade shape. It'd be about 1/4 inch longer than the Signature series. But anyway, the main difference is the Signature is about 1/4 inch shorter, and the handle is more of the Kephart style handle with just this one indentation and a little bit wider at the end. Whereas this one is more contoured for your little finger, has scallops and things like that for the production model, okay? And these can be ordered through Great Northern Knives. So if you don't see it on their website, on their pre-order form for WC Knives, then contact them and they'll be able to fix you up, okay? Also, the Signature series comes in Magna Cut, whereas the production model just comes in AEBL, okay? That's the difference. That's the reason for the price point and all that good stuff. All right, but the reason I love the Fieldlore is because it just, when you're cutting leather, that fine tip gets in there and it takes care of this very tough, durable edge leather that you know, this is what I cut off of the leather for the sheaths because it's scrap, and you need something that's thin that's going to just slice right through that, and that thin edge does that very well. So I like that. And sometimes you have to thin down a lot of this lanyard material. It comes in a little too thick, so you have to just kind of thin it down a little bit. And this edge does that very well, okay? The other thing I like it is because it's like a chef's knife. The way this triangle is, it's a chef. So when you're slicing vegetables, I mean, it keeps your hand up out of the way, like so, okay? My breakfast. So I love that part about the knife. Excuse me a minute, eat my apple. So, and let's face it, that's what you use a knife for mostly, is food prep. A lot of people don't take that into consideration, but the other thing is this little notch here, cutting string and things like that in the shop, because it hits that edge right there and it just slices it off instead of trying to roll down even when it needs to sharpen, that still hits that little hook there. And if I can get my fingers to work this morning, hits that little hook there, and it just catches and it cuts it, even if it's slightly dull. It needs to be sharpened. And it's one of those things to where when you chest lever type, it hits that hook again and it's up against that tooth. And so when you're doing whittling on a stick, and that's another thing I like a knife for, is I enjoy whittling, carving, little things, like anything to use a knife. I love working with a sharp tool. And so I enjoy these little things like this, and the balance of it is it's just spot on right there at the handle. So when you're holding the knife, it doesn't fatigue your arm. So you can get up on it with a wider blade there at that part, and you can hold it. It takes a little bit of practice, but it doesn't take long. And you can do very fine, intricate work with that fine tip like that. So for green wood carving, spoons, things like that, that design for that Woodlore design of that tip is perfect for that. And then when you got the complex or the compound grind, you have a thin edge here for all this slicing and dicing of the apples and things like that you don't get with a Scandi blade. So that, with that saber grind there, you get that, okay? But you still get this part here, which is, let's see if I can find me a steak. I need a steak. So here's some hard rock maple. And I mean, it is hard, but you have that Scandi there, so you can get in there and hog off that wood, do your feathers, what you need to do in your fire prep, light batoning. If you can take a piece of kindling, small stuff, and hit it with your hand and split it, then that right there acts as a wedge. And also that tooth, it holds it in place so it doesn't move around on you. So, and then another thing is when you're using that tooth, you have a lot of control right there at that curve on that tooth. And it's just very beneficial in so many ways. But I think the length of it's got enough of the length here to do a lot of your kitchen prep, your slicing, your dicing. This part here, woodcraft, firecraft, carving. Like I say, the detail, the day-to-day stuff that you use a knife for, cutting string, cutting rope, cutting seat belts. I mean, just everyday use of 1,000 things that you just don't realize you use a knife for, and how many times you grab that knife. But anyway, and I'm cutting the table, my cutting board. See that? Man, I tell you what, that geometry on that blade is just something else. But anyway, I thought that was a fair question of why I love this knife, and it fits the hand so well. And the reason I changed it on the Signature series is because during the R&D phase, if you paid attention to the videos that was coming out during that portion of it, you would see these two different types or models during the R&D phase. And I couldn't decide. I love both of them. The handles are they're just perfect in your hand. And, you know, that 1/4 inch there, I didn't know if I needed that extra 1/4 inch or not, but typically on bushcraft knives, you're looking at about 4 1/4 blade, where this one's a 4 inch. And either one of them does the job. So I thought maybe that I would offer the Signature series slightly different so that it gives people a choice. And again, see how easy that blade slices with a compound grind. Whereas, see how there's no separation, there's no pushing apart, there's no pinch points. But if you try it with the Scandi, see, it takes more effort. It'll slice it, but it just takes more effort. And effort, when you're doing things in the woods, takes calories. It takes a lot of things that you don't have necessarily need. And when you're slicing an apple, see how it wants to break the apple apart? It doesn't slice it. Whereas this part slices it, this part breaks it apart. But you need that in woodcraft. You want to split things apart. So that's a very good wedge at that part. So that's the reason I go with compound grinds so much, is for me, it is more versatile. It is more useful than just a straight design. So anyway, I hope, move the camera back up. I hope this explains it. Again, you know, it's just the handle's comfortable. It creates control. If you control the knife, it's less likely to hurt you. When you lose control of it is when it hurts you. Okay, it's just like a fire. Everybody worries about the ground around the fire. The ground is not the problem. The problem is when you don't pay attention to the fire, okay? That's when it gets out of control, all right? So that's what a knife is. When you don't have control of that blade, that's when it bites you, when it hurts you. But with a comfortable handle, with the right balance and the right training with a knife, then you can control that blade and you can have all of these grips. Another thing is that blade is dropped to where it would make a good skinning blade. Has just enough belly to get in there and separate that hide from the carcass, but yet it doesn't have so much belly that you lose sight of that tip, where you use the tip a lot, especially during the skinning phase. Okay, so I think, and I say this until I'm blue in the face, until I come up with another design. And frankly, folks, I don't know if anything is going to top this one for me, for my uses, which is I don't do it as much as I want to or like to, but a hunter, a camper, somebody that does backyard grilling, cooking, in the shop, leather work, just 1,001 uses for a knife, whittling on a stick. I mean, just things like that is what I enjoy. So this knife, it ticks every one of those boxes for me. It excels at all of that. And that's the reason this knife was the first one in the Signature series, this model. And so anyway, I hope that makes sense. Hope you guys enjoyed this little demonstration. And you guys get in the backyard, try your knife, the one that you love. Just everything that you want a knife to do, go out there and try it and see if it excels at all of those things. If it doesn't, maybe a Fieldlore will. Just a thought. You guys get in the backyard with a little stick, be sure and take a child with you, get the opportunity. Don't forget those plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives, and we'll catch you again very, very soon. Y'all have a great weekend.